What's up everyone, it's Brian in PS4 Trophies and welcome to my favorite PSVR game. This is almost a system seller. This is Moss. Now normally I don't make trophy guides for VR titles because I feel like sometimes I'm doing it for an audience of one. Well, I've been telling everyone to buy this game and I didn't think it'd be fair to do that if I didn't give people a means to platinum. So I'm going to show you the location of all the fragments and dust in this game. In fact, there's our first fragment. They look like little scrolls. And you can see if you pause the game, there's a little counter on the top right there that shows you how many you have. There are 31 fragments and there are 375 dust that we must find. So we're gonna move on to this scene here, and you have to actually backtrack a little bit to the left, and you see this cart. On that cart are 3 boxes. Each of those boxes contain a dust. Once again, you can pause and you can see the 3 dust. Now I'll also show you additional trophies along the way. So this is kind of a platinum trophy guide. Mostly a collectible guide. Most of the trophies are fairly easy. Let's go ahead and knock out those crates down there, those little barrels, and there's some more dust there. So moving on to the next scene. Before we move forward, we need to knock out some more boxes over there, some over here. And you can see most of these dusts are kind of grouped up. There's 1 dust per box or barrel or crate or jar even. So we're gonna find groups of them kind of together. Now before you pull open the door and go on to the next scene, turn the page, you're gonna wanna climb up here and we're gonna find another scroll. There's gonna be a fragment here. And you can see it right there. Now I've increased the brightness in this video because it's a little dark. In VR it looks incredible. So it looks a little kind of funky right now, but when you're in the game it looks so much better. And definitely easier to see these things as well. So in the next scene, the next page, you're gonna go find another scroll. You're gonna run right into it. So pick that fragment up before you go climb up and hit the switch. Now we're gonna go to chapter 2. We're gonna find our 4th fragment. Now, as soon as you gain control of your character, don't go out the door. In fact, if you look up, if you kind of just sit up a little bit and you can peek on the other side of the bed there and you'll see there's another fragment. So we're gonna pick that up. That scene looks amazing in VR, by the way. All right, so we're gonna leave the house. Once you leave the house, to the left and to the right of the door, there's going to be some more dust. There's 2 boxes you can hit there, and there's a barrel over here. So that's 3 total, I believe. And then we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. So the next area, once you get here, you have to kind of turn around, and there's a couple barrels and another cart here. There's nothing on the cart. Now I, for some reason, destroy the cart. Now if you peek over this fence here, and I'm kind of out of play there, but if you peek over, you can barely see a fragment. So we're gonna go grab a fragment over there. I'm making sure I hit all these barrels. There's a bunch of dust here, so we're gonna hit one there. There's 3 down here. Now you can also, in addition to swinging your sword and opening up these things, you can actually, as the reader, use your little orb and actually destroy the boxes for Quill. But I'm gonna destroy them with Quill, just so it's easier for you to keep track of what I'm doing. If I start interacting and throwing another control scheme out there, it might get a little difficult about what I'm doing, where I'm at. So I'm just going to, for the purposes of this guide, just use Quill to break open the boxes. So breaking them open with your orb, with the reader, it's actually a little easier in some cases. So there's the fragment. There's a couple more crates here. I don't think there's any dust in them. There is not. So I'm going to go ahead, go into the next section here. We have to kind of balance our way across this beam. And you see an axe as we climb up here. And right behind the axe there on the left side is going to be a fragment. So go back over there and pick that up. All right, so now we're gonna go into the next section. There's some boxes right here at the very beginning. There's a kind of a half-broken barrel down there. There's nothing inside of it. So as you make your way across, once you make your way up to the opposite side, there's actually a hidden tunnel here. There's some grass. Pick up the scroll. Now, speaking of the grass, you do have to cut down a lot of grass. So keep cutting grass until you pop the trophy for doing that. So in this section here, what you need to do is kind of climb up and around, and we're supposed to jump up to the higher platform right above us. Instead, we're going to actually come back towards the screen, towards you, the reader, and you're going to find the fragment right there. Now there are no fragments here, but before you go hop across that, pull up that little platform, then hop across to the little makeshift raft, there's the barrels back there in the corner, so make sure you get those. And then after you do your sword and you fall off and you heal it, I just want to show you here, you can startle Quill, and there's a trophy for doing that. So get him close to you, turn him around, and then lean forward, and you'll actually startle him and get a trophy. Now you can also pet him, and if you pet him, you kind of delay the adventure, and just keep holding the R2 button, keep petting him with your orb, and then eventually you're going to pop a trophy, and that is for delaying the adventure. So make sure you do that. There's also another trophy for high-fiving Quill. There's a couple points in the game where Quill will look towards you and stick up his arm, and you want to hit him with the orb to do a high five. Now in the next section, this is where you have to move that little statue in order to open the gate, and we're going to make our way around. This is where you got to cut down the thorns to get through the passageway here. And we're going to climb up. Now there's a hidden fragment. You can't see it unless you lean forward, kind of lean up a little bit, and it's right behind the stairs that you see. So we're going to shimmy across here, drop down, and there's a hidden platform. Again, you can't normally see it unless you alter your position and move, lean to the little left and up a little bit, and you'll see it. But it's right there. There's a platform you can jump right to. So in the next scene, you're going to get down to where you have to do combat. There's a little arena there. Instead of doing that, and go around underneath the stairs, and you'll find a fragment. Now this is chapter 3 now, after you get the upgraded sword. The very first page on chapter 3, what you want to do is climb up these pillars and swing all the way back around, and you will this will lead you eventually to another fragment. Again, there's 31 total. You can get all of these in chapter replay if you fail to get them all in a single run. Do not start a new game. If you start a new game, it will wipe out your progress. Now, when you get to this hall with a bunch of statues, you're going to see some pots over here to the left front of the screen, and then there's going to be some up here. So we're going to go jump up, and right to the right of the exit to this room, there's a pot you can barely see. It's easier to see in the VR, but it's right there. And then we need to drop down. There's some more pots. There's also a fragment in this room. It's actually right behind us. If I leaned far enough forward, I would have been able to spot it. So we'll get to this page here. As soon as you enter this room, there's some pots there just to the left as you enter the room. And then there's some down here to the right as you come down the stairs. And there's going to be another set of pots over here that we're going to break open with some more dust. Now there's also a fragment in this room. It's actually behind the statue. There's to the left of the statue behind it. There's a little hidden room back here. So just enter there, and that's where you're going to find the 13th fragment. Now I believe there's some more dust to collect in here. So let's go pull this thing out of the way. And as we're going up the stairs, and then at the top, there's some more pots. I don't remember if there's any dust in here. Let's find out. There's some dust in there, one of them at least. And nothing there. So let's go to the next room. Here we got another arena. Down in this arena, there are some pots, things you can break open. So break all of these open. Once you break all of these open, my screen's a little cut off on the bottom, by the way. That's just before the formatting of the screen, because VR is kind of cropped. But after you've done that, climb up, and then in the back of this room, right here where I'm at, you'll see another fragment. So that's in the same arena room. So now you got that, let's go move on. We got another puzzle room here. Now there's a twig leaning up to that platform where that scroll is at. I don't knock it down. I highly recommend you do. You may also notice there's some pots on the top of this area. You can grab them, destroy them with the reader orb. I'm not going to do that. We're actually going to come back into this room a little bit later, in which case we can then break open those pots and collect the dust. But there are some pots right there in the corner. Now we're going to shimmy across, jump up onto this thing I pulled out, and then we're going to make our way to the lever. Hit the lever while we're here, of course. That'll allow us to eventually complete the puzzle. But first we need to go back and get that fragment that's over here. Unfortunately, I forgot to break the stick. So break the stick before you go up there. Once you've done that, now once you're up here, you can jump across and grab this fragment. All right, so giddy up. Next one, got a kind of a big puzzle room here. There's some pots right by the entrance to this room. Now from this point, we're going to just continue the puzzle. And once you get the things moving, you're gonna have to jump up here. Now we're gonna continue going up. On the ledge above us, there's going to be another fragment. So we're gonna get to the top of this right stone. And then there's a little opening way up high here that you can jump through, and this will drop you down to the scroll location. Now there are a couple other pots in that area, but I don't believe they contain any dust. So we're gonna move on to the next room, which is actually the previous room. Come back in here and you can break open these pots with Quill. And that was the room we were just in. So now here is the next puzzle room. In the corner as you enter it, there's some pots there in the corner. Make sure you collect the dust there. Now we're gonna make our way to the puzzle area. Go over to where the enemy is located. And there's some pots back here. Go ahead and complete the puzzle. I believe there's a high five moment right there as well. And then before you leave the room, make sure you come back to the right side of it to break open those pots, collect dust. Go into the next room. There's going to be some more dust over there just as you enter. Now you see some torches on the front of those columns there. Use your player orb and light those. I will eventually do that. I don't do it at this point because that's tied to another trophy. Coming and breaking those pots up to the left side on the medium platforms, and the ones here on the right side. Now we're going to drop down. There's a fragment, a pretty well hidden fragment that you can't see unless you kind of bend down. You can see it down there. In order to get there, oh, I fell. Well, if you're doing a no death run, because there's a trophy for completing the game without dying, what you can do is before the death animation completes, immediately hit the options button, the pause button, and then close the application. And then you'll be reset back into the game, and that death will not count. So if you're going for the no death trophy, keep that in mind. The death animation is pretty long, so you have a couple seconds to do it. So going back in here and making our way back to the fragments. So I wanted to point that out because that's very important if you're going to do a no death run. It's especially important towards the end of the game when the snake section, some of those jumps can be tricky. All right, so in the next section, we're going to drop down. And we have another puzzle. We have three of those guys that shoot at you. So there's some pots there. There's some pots in the middle. There's pots in the front of the screen. You have to come back towards me to see them. And there's some more pots where that right guy is at. I will come back and get those later. So fast forwarding a little bit here. There's a fragment back here where these pots are. You got to break the pots open in order to see it. But pick up that fragment there. Now I'm going to go head over towards where the last shooter is located. Before I drop down, there are some pots over here. Collect the dust that's in there. And now I'm going to head back over to where the backtrack to where that right shooter used to be. So there's a bunch of dust in there and a fragment. So make sure you pick that up. Now the next puzzle room, this was actually kind of tricky. I didn't immediately kind of figure out how to do it. But you see the scroll on the way back, way up high there. So after you get the shooting guy out, I'm going to jump back to the middle. I'm going to hit this switch here, bring those up. Now I'm going to jump back where the shooter is, and now I'm going to be able to jump on that left rock that moves. Now once I'm on this left rock, I can then gain control of this guy and shoot the switch one more time to take you up to the fragment. There's no dust in this page. All right, so here's, be very careful. There's a lot of dust here, a lot of pots. You can see me right here. I'm swinging around. And guess what? I missed one there. I didn't immediately notice it, but I thought I got it. I went and completed the game and ended the game with only 374 dust. So I had to come back and replay certain sections again through chapter select. And I realized I missed one of the pots in here. It's very easy to miss one. So just kind of cut to after the fact. After I've already kind of completed the game, back in the previous room, coming back in here, and I start breaking open the pots, and you'll see the dust pop up. The dust will only appear in pots that you haven't, or dust you haven't previously collected. So there it was. Don't know how I missed it. All right, so back to the beginning, or back to on our path here. Here's where the door is after you grab that item out of the chest. Now here is where you need to light torches. There's a trophy for doing it, the name of which is escaping me at the moment. You need to light the 4 torches. There's the 2 here, and then there was 2 in the previous room, which I pointed out when we were there. So let me just go back, track over here. If you light those 4 torches, you see the flame fire in the middle there light up. That's how you get that trophy. So in the next room, this is kind of the end of the chapter. There's a lot of waves of enemies here. Now on the left side and the right side, there are 2 sets of pots. One kind of lower than the other set, and you can't see the lower ones unless you kind of lean up and around. So I'm going to drop over here. Can't really see them very well, but I know they're there, so I'm just going to make sure I clear that out really good. And then there's another set on the platform above. You're going to have to get this a little bit later during the fight. Once the platform lifts up and you got the shooting guys pop out up here, that is the time you need to get the one on the left. And there's also the same exact thing on the right hand side. There's 2 sets, one on the lower portion here and then one up high. No fragments in this room, but there are 4 sets of pots containing dust. So make sure you break open all of those. This guy's gonna hit me. And he's gonna hit me again. Probably should have kind of knocked him out a little bit by gaining control of him, but no worries, we'll get there. All right, so there we go. Now we're moving on to chapter 4. Chapter 4, right at the very beginning, make sure you break open that barrel. It's really easy to just kind of walk past that and forget about it. Another set of barrels or crates here, and 2 crates and a barrel in the back right corner over here. Now once you break these open, climb up here, get some more dust. Now you're going to climb up to the next section. I don't believe either of any of these actually contain any dust. They did not. So go into the next room. Here you're going to have be introduced to the dude that can kind of blow up. They're little bombs, if you will. You can gain control of them and make them blow up. And there's a trophy called Forged Maestro. You got to destroy 2 or more Screecher enemies with a controlled ticker. I don't recommend you get that trophy here. I will show you a good place to get that. It's a little bit more tricky there. You can get it. So we're just going to make sure we destroyed all the barrels and chests that were on the ground level where the enemies were, and then the rest of them in this room. But if you take this first lift down, you can jump over to the left, and there's a secret area here where you can pick up a fragment. So after that, you can head towards the exit. I don't think anything in here contains any dust. Does not. So let's go ahead and move on to the next page. Next page, as soon as you enter it, there's some wood there you can break open, some more dust. During this puzzle solution here, there's 2 you can break open there and a couple more at the end of this path here. There are actually really well hidden jars right here. I kind of did a cut. Nothing in there though, surprisingly, because they're very well hidden. Now there's 3 jars behind the lever that you need to pull. And then there's going to be a bunch of things you can break open just to the left of the elevator. No fragments in this room, but a bunch of dust. All right, so fragment number 21 is right here. There's another high five moment there. Quill was waiting for it. Just use your player orb and to interact with him. But you got to pull that switch over there. There's a couple sets of breakables here, so break this open for the dust. Break these over here for the dust, and then we're going to climb up and back around to a hidden passageway to the behind the elevator. Nothing in those boxes, but there is a fragment, so we're going to go ahead and pick that up.
Of her family had been different.
Now we're starting chapter 5. This is at the very beginning. Break those crates for some dust. Some more crates over here, nothing in them. But there is a fragment, and it's right behind the broken sentry. If you kind of lean to your right, you can see it. So just swing around to the back side of it, and you will find it way out in the distance. All right, so our first sentry here, a working sentry, you're going to have to climb up through this building. There is a couple boxes you need to break open here. Make sure you just swing your sword all the way around before you jump up to the next level. So jump up to the next floor. There's going to be some more boxes. At the end of this page, we'll find a fragment as well. So once you're comfortable and believe that you got all of them, continue onwards. And before you leave, there's some boxes here to the left of the exit. Once you destroy those, do not go through there just yet. Instead, come over back here, break open these breakables, and there'll be a fragment scroll right behind it. All right, so in the next section, this dude's gonna shoot at you. Make sure if you do die that you quickly pause the game and close application and come back into it. But if you do that, by the way, just as a heads up, you have to go back and collect the dust again. It doesn't save that progress. It does save it if you just die and respawn. But if you're trying to avoid the deaths, you don't want to. You have to go back and redo it if you close the application. But there is a scroll here up on the top behind these thorns, so you're gonna have to jump up here. Make sure you rotate that shield around, giving you protection to get that scroll. Don't make the mistake I did twice. All right, so with that in hand, we are going to go in towards the first lever. Right in front of that lever, closest to the sentry, is going to be some more breakables. Easier to see while you're in the VR headset, of course. You can see the pots there. Watch out for the thorns. Make sure you provide yourself cover, because I have forgotten to do that also twice. And at the very end, make sure you break open these boxes before you take the exit. All right, so now there's a whole bunch of things in this area we need to break open. There's a fragment, or 25th fragment, as well as a bunch of dust, a bunch of boxes. Make sure you are very careful and clear out this entire area as you go around. There are two buildings, one on the left and one on the right, with multiple levels. You want to make sure that you're not leaving anything behind. And we will also notice in this area, there are things that are not just regular jars or crates or barrels that you have to break open. We will eventually get to a church, and we have to break open the pews. We're going to get to a bar, and there's a bunch of things you're going to break there as well, chairs and tables and things. So just keep that in mind. So just swing at everything and make sure you didn't miss anything. But when you get to the top floor of this building on the right hand side, that is where you're going to get fragment number 25. We will eventually go through that locked gate there on the right hand side and the left hand side. We'll go left first. Before I do that, I'm just going to make sure I break open all of these breakables here and collect as much dust as possible. I'm not entirely sure of the exact count of dust, but probably 40% of the game's dust are real close to where we're located. And then the last thing I need to do is jump over to the left-hand side. There's some thorns blocking some more breakables right behind that locked door. All right, so once you've got everything in there, once you're comfortable with that, head up the long staircase up to the next area. You're going to meet your little purple wisp friend. You can break open the boxes here. If you don't want to do it now, you'll have to come back here. You'll notice there was also a fragment scroll off to the right hand side. You can't go over there just yet, but you can break these boxes here up to the left of the door. But you can't go through that door yet, so we're going to go back down to that previous area and now go through an unlocked door. This left one is going to take us to the church. So the first room here contains a fragment and some dust. Break open the boxes here in the corner and then the opposite corner. These are a little tricky to see. You have to kind of lean forward in order to see them. Then drop down, break open the thorns, couple barrels. And then you can make your way back here. We're kind of in the middle on the far back side there. And then we're going to make our way to the far left side, just past the switch. And there's a bunch of breakables here. There's also a fragment. You can't see it. You have to run around behind the altar or whatever that is. Come back to that location and you will run into the scroll fragment. So complete that puzzle. You're now in the cathedral, the church here. A bunch of things you're going to break open, a bunch of pots. You also have to break open the pews themselves. So tons of things you're going to have to break here. Easy to miss. A lot of people, if you're short on any sort of fragments, they forgot to break open these pews because they didn't know. Up until this point, we were breaking obvious things. We didn't know we had to break furniture. But now you know we have to break the furniture. Nice thing is once you're breaking them open, the things kind of disappear, so it's a little easier to tell if you missed anything. Again, a little bit easier to see in VR. All right, so now we're gonna go down the right path. The right path has got a couple things for us here. There is a trophy called Creative Cliffhanger that you get for finding a low-hanging path to the town pub. We'll get that trophy. Or I'll show you how to do it. I've already got the trophy. But break open the boxes on the way to the lever here. Once you pull the lever, one of those shooting guys will come out. We're going to utilize him right now to get this Creative Cliffhanger trophy. You need to hang on this little ledge. And then get this cart here to travel underneath this thing while you're hanging. That's how you get the Creative Cliffhanger trophy. I already have it, so it won't pop. Took me a little while to figure out how to do it though. So break open these boxes, go across to the opposite side. We actually have to, I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. Where the shooting guy is, there's a cart, some barrels. We now have to go up top near the beginning. There's some jars to the left over here. And a bunch of big boxes you could see over here to our right. There's also a fragment behind them. First, let me get the barrel dust. Break those boxes up. There's no dust in there, but it does lead you to the fragment. So now I'm going to head towards the entrance to the pub. And there's a few things you also have to break over here. Now, there is another trophy called Pub Smash, and that's for breaking everything within the town pub that can be broken. So there's tons of things and tons of dust you're going to collect here. If you'll know you've collected all the dust when you get the Pub Smash trophy. For some reason, there's always a hidden object on the stage that I seem to miss, but I got this on fast forward here because this can take a while. There's also a fragment that's going to be on the top floor on the left side once we get up here. After I've smashed open my last item. I already have the Pub Smash trophy, you won't see that. So break open everything there. Go around there 2 or 3 times if you have to. Make sure everything's broken. So now we're back up here by the big door and we can now pass through. But before you do, go to the corner. There's a barrel. Nothing was in there. In the back corner here is a Fragment Scroll. All right, so now here there's nothing here, but this is the location where you want to get the trophy for using it's called the Maestro trophy. Forge Maestro. Destroy 2 or more Screecher enemies with a controlled ticker. The ticker are those little green guys. When you grab them and you can kind of set off a little timer detonator on them, you got to make sure you get 2 Screechers near it when it explodes. You have to do it 2 or 3 times in order to kill them. Now, after the snake cutscene, you're going to go up the path there. There is a fragment. Make sure you grab that. And this is the last page in the game, guys. So in this one here is going to be the last dust and the last fragment. Let me take care of this guy here. Now, when you get up the path here on the left-hand side, you got to jump across to the right-hand side where the enemy is about to come out there. Before you do that, there's actually a hidden tunnel underneath that allows you to backtrack to where the fragment's located. And I'm not doing a very good job of getting in there. There we go. This will lead us to the final scroll in the game. And then we're going to go to the opposite side right at the exit, and there's going to be some more breakables for the final dust in the game. And then you get to go complete the game. You get to go battle the snake. If you're trying to go for the no death trophy, there's a lot of opportunities for you to die by the snake or by just jumping to your death. Make sure you quickly pause and close the application and reload it if you're going for that trophy. And I highly recommend you guys check out this game. It is by far the best VR experience in my opinion. I want to thank you for watching. Please subscribe. See you soon.